I was dreaming with the people, and you know the song seems so far away. Many lived and died to find the light away. I was sleeping rather peaceful, but sure as sunlight starts the day, something shined and brought me to my feet again. I saw mountains rise and crumble in a day. Time was just another play. And she said, far away, you're so close that you wouldn't believe it. Hide away, now come undone. Far away, you're so close that you wouldn't believe it. Hide away, now come undone. We were seeking all the pieces, but it's not just what you say and what you do. If you're not letting the heartbeat breathe through you, step through shadows and I'll see you better, dear. Feels so good to be this clear. And she said, far away, it's so close that you wouldn't believe it. Now the way have come undone. Far away, it's so close that you wouldn't believe it. Now we have come undone. Circling again. No need to look back from now to then. I love being here with you. I know you and you me too. Far away, it's out here and we plainly can see it. Now the way have come undone. Oh, I'm a stowaway in a world that you wouldn't believe. It's not far away. I've come undone. Oh, far away. It's so close and I know you can feel it. Now that we have come undone.
Okay, hello and welcome everybody. This week we're having a fun community stream where we're going to laugh at some memes, look at some news, and then have a lengthy discussion about culture, race, and the intersection thereof. Today we are joined by a good friend of mine, 3 of 12, my usual co-host KizzaGT, and Zen Chan. We were going to have Matt with us, but he is MIA, so I guess we'll have to have him with us another day. Well, that was a rhyme, and now it's time for the guests. Welcome, 3 of 12. Let us hear your beautiful voice and tell us who you are and why you're here today.
Hi, domo. Hey, I'm 3 of 12, and I'm a regular on the Cabal server as well as Yizz's own server. Been around a while, but I don't get to talk very much. I certainly enjoy talking about politics.
I've been wanting to have 3 of 12 on for a while now because I am wanting to start more streams during the week that feature regulars who are friends of mine that I enjoy having conversations with, sort of like Rose of Dawn's, sort of like Rose of Dawn's Seal of Approval, like AA's Unpopular Opinions, that kind of talk show. And I think 3 of 12 will be an excellent candidate, and hopefully my followers will agree after hearing him talk some today, and I will be inviting him back for future streams. And of course, I will be inviting back Zen and Kizza. Kizza, I know that you, my friend, have had the coof, but you have beaten the mighty China virus. So, how are you, my friend, today?
Well, I've recovered, but I'm dealing with the aftermath.
And what's that like? You got the croup in the lungs?
A nasty chest infection, but hey, once you've had one, you've had them all.
Zen, how about you? I know you just got home and got off the bus recently. I know you're just getting in for the day.
Yeah, Friday's the day I go to the shops and stock up on my snacks and my very unhealthy Dr. Pepper.
We've all got our vices.
Indeed.
I like to vape. I like Diet Mountain Dew. Those are my only vices.
This is actually something that I clash with Sargon with a lot, which is like he seems to believe that vices are some like horrendous sin, and if I believe that if someone does not have a vice, that is a person that I do not trust.
You don't trust the Pius, huh?
Vices are humanizing.
I certainly agree.
I can see that. I can see why you would say that.
Yes.
Well, today we're going to get started with some memes. But before we do, I'd like to remind everybody, a few times during the stream, I stopped to check community questions to the panel, and that is handled with Entropy. Over on Entropy, which is the link that I'm putting in all of the various stream chats right now, you can see on the Entropy interface, you can put chat messages over on the left-hand side on the question widget, as well as on the regular chat stream on the right-hand side. And you can give us paid donations over there, of course, and those do get priority. But even if you don't have money, that's fine. You can put long-form questions and comments to myself and the panel about the things we discuss in each stream. And a few times during the stream, I check those, and we can directly address your questions. And the reason I ask you to use that instead of YouTube chat or DLive chat is things get buried and lost in the chat, and it's a lot easier for me just to look at them because they're easily categorized over on the Entropy window. So I highly recommend you do that. And if you'd like to support me in the channel, help me get better equipment, help me with my activism, you can always donate on PayPal. And of course, you can support me with Cash App or as a monthly donation over on Subscribestar. And of course, every dollar counts, and I appreciate any of your resources that you can share with me. So, to get started, I think we should look at some funny memes. So what we're going to do is we're going to put the first meme up. All right. Starting.
This should be interesting.
Boom. Here we go. If you look at this picture of these possible candidates, notice how all the men's toes point outward when all the women's feet are parallel with one another.
See, here's the thing. Here's the thing. I can't see their feet. Our little boxes are covering them.
Oh no!
I have seen this, and
There we go.
It is pretty funny.
How about that? Is that better?
No.
No. You gotta move the boxes somehow.
Well, I'm going to try a different share method. Let's try this. Okay, we're going to share screen individually by tab. There we go.
Oh, there we go.
Hopefully that means people can see it better now.
That's better. There we go.
There she goes. We're going to put all of this over on the right-hand side. Now, for those of you that have been paying attention, We are using a new interface called Restream.io because they have a new user interface like StreamYards and other services. I really like it. I like the colors, but I am having to get used to it. So bear with us next few weeks as we get it all sorted. So here, the joke is, of course, the moronic, weirdo, whatever you want to call it, trans person that is going up for some kind of lofty seat of being in charge of healthcare in the United States government, is, of course, a transgender weirdo degenerate. And so we, of course, mock them for that. Now, one thing I would like to point out here is I'm not judging you for what you do as an adult in the privacy of your own home, but I do think that having someone who suffers from a mental delusion being in charge of healthcare is just the height of too muchery, and I think it's hilarious. So that's why I wanted to share the meme here today. So that being said, let's go ahead and have a look at a different meme here, maybe one that'll be a little funnier. So let's try the next one. Let's do this one. Here we go. There's a swab in my thingamabob, Dr. Seuss.
Oh my god.
Oh, I saw that yesterday.
No.
Well, it is now required for foreigners to be swabbed in China, so very relevant.
More reason not to go to China.
Hey, it's good to see Bill in the chat. Hey, Bill. I know that you're probably working, but later today, the bulk of the stream is going to be a discussion about that voice clip of yours over on that stream, and we're going to actually play that and talk about that topic back and forth today. So if you can't be with us live, you might want to check out the last half of the stream because we'll be talking about the thing that you called in and talked about on the on that live stream. And since Bill's here, we're going to go ahead and share his channels out here. He does good work, long form stuff about history, politics, that sort of thing over on his channel, All-1. And he does regular live streams over on DLive at the Ends Justify the Memes. And I occasionally get to go do streams with him. Kizza gets to do streams with him. And he's a delightful man. He's a good father. He's a good Christian man and an excellent American. So I definitely recommend you guys all check out Bill and his work over on All-1 and Ends Justify the Memes. So anybody have any playful rhymes or Dr. Seuss jokes to make here while we're busting on China? China.
No, I just still find it funny how Dr. Seuss is cancelled, but a wet ass of vagina to get around the censors is apparently the song of the year. Work that out, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh no! The spoken word version by Ben Shapiro is the song of the year.
What's that one?
What's his face? Cardi B made the song that completely confused Mr. Ben Shapiro, and he had to call his wife, who is a doctor, to question.
Okay.
Yeah, all I gotta say to Cardi B is you're either a hoe or you have wet yourself, dear. You should have stopped doing that when you was like 2 years old.
I'm not gonna lie. That entire song is fucking hilarious. It's not attractive whatsoever, but it's funny.
I'm not a connoisseur
and very
music.
degenerate.
I don't have an opinion.
And it's very degenerate.
It's quite a fever dream to take in when you watch the music video.
There is actually one scene that looks like Dr. Seussian because of like the color scheme they used. It's trippy.
Yes.
Oh no!
And the style of the interior of the house.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Dr.
Yeah.
House, yeah.
Well, from what little I know about it, we won't be sharing it on this stream. It's a bit too gross for me to want to share on here. I did, unfortunately, hear a bit of it in someone's stream who was mocking it, and it's rather gross. That's not the kind of trash I want on my channel. Dr. Seuss is canceled, Jack, because of all of the usual reasons you might expect. You can, just roll the die, consult the chart, racism, xenophobia, colonizer, slavery, reparations.
I love that they
roll the die and pick a reason. That's why Dr. Seuss got canceled.
They literally complained that he made anti-Japanese propaganda, and the picture they show is one of Hitler getting kicked, and it's like, but also there's a Japanese person because they were at war with Japan as well, and it's like, oh no, the horror.
Yeah. I mean, eBay lists it as problematic, but just remember on Amazon, you can get the book from the Austrian painter from Amazon. Work that out, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, but people are getting their eBay sales.
All I have to say to that is, Asul! Oh, Asul!
Oh dear.
Oof. Oof.
Indeed.
Oof. That is a big oof.
A Japanese snakearoo!
Dear.
You watch out! We bomb Pearl Harbor!
Jesus Christ. Yes.
There you go.
Yeah.
I feel
There's
like
some
I need.
fun
I
laughs
feel
from the
I
past.
feel like
There
I
we
need a
go.
face bomb counter.
You know what? That snake. Do you know what it reminds me of?
Yeah.
Oh dear.
It reminds me of the cartoon version for Scorpion Spear.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, if people have not checked out the 2021 Mortal Kombat trailer, please do check it out. It looks bloody awesome.
You're not
I
the first
have
person
heard.
I've heard say that. You're not the first person I've heard say that.
No, honest. I mean, I'm not sure if we get flagged for showing the trailer, but it does
I'm sure you
look
can show
just
stills of it.
I mean, all I can say is one of the actors in the film was in the raid, and if you have not seen the
Oh.
raid, let's
Watch
just
the raid.
say,
Just watch the raid.
yeah. Let's just this is think of like your typical like Eastern martial arts movie turned up to 11.
Yeah.
I mean, who else has it got? So it's got the guy from the raid. It's got like 3 very well-known martial arts actors. Yes, Bill.
I hadn't heard much of it. I just wanted to wait until it was out, and then
Thanks to KizzaGT and thanks to Zen Chan, we have access to the reason why it was pulled. So we're gonna have a look at that.
Yes. So the bill. Yeah. I mean, I'm not sure if this is spoiler since it shows off in the trailer. But there's one point Sub-Zero slices a scorpion, takes his blood, which comes out, freezes it into a dagger, then stabs him with it.
Oh,
Okay,
classic.
that's wonderful, I don't care.
Classic.
Gross.
You're
Alright.
kidding me.
Staying
no,
on
so-
point here, this is apparently about Dr. Seuss, and it says.
I should explain. This is the aftermath of the banning. So this doesn't explain the reasoning for the banning itself. I'm currently actually sending that over to you, Yizz. But
I'm streaming.
this is showing that not only are official salespeople not allowed to, it's not being printed, but they are also removing anyone who's reselling their used copies. You are not allowed to resell your copy of Dr. Seuss on eBay. It is illegal to resell this book now, or at least you can't. I don't know if it's illegal.
illegal.
Every single big website is going to block it. So this thing is going to be fucking valuable.
Well,
here's
excuse me. What happened to
here's
my
the reason it was
private?
banned. Is this? And
oh,
I mean that's.
Oh no!
That's not really that offensive. I mean that's
No,
just...
no, it's not. But they said that this was why. This is literally what they cited.
that's it.
Yes.
me Chinese, me play joke, me put Dr. Seuss in your anti-white Coke.
Me Chinese, me use. I think I remember Sargon literally when he was talking about this on Lotus Eaters. He was like, "Hang on," and he looks behind the camera, and literally one of their employees who was Asian was eating with chopsticks at the exact same time. He's like, "Wait, what? This is offensive."
That's pretty good. If I ever have good
Yeah.
bandwidth one day, we might actually have some video on the stream, but that will require me to have better internet. And living out here in the middle of nowhere, I don't know if that's ever going to happen. Because even
it's
satellite internet's
crazy.
spotty out here.
I can't even like. There's also a little bit of the kind of like the stereotypical way to draw a black person, but like it's the 30s.
Yeah,
There's nothing.
time.
I
mean-
And also, keep in mind,
be that
this
opposed.
really isn't like a negative stereotype. This is just a
not.
stereotype.
No,
of
this one's
very
stupid.
a common expression of Chinese people in America at the time.
Yeah, this is
Yeah,
literally just no. What I mean is like the way that the black people were portrayed. It's like this is the kind of thing where I kind of understand that old Warner Brothers thing. Where did you see that they put the screen up where they were just like, look, some of the stuff in this is a little bit sus, but we're not removing it because what did they say? To remove it would be to deny it ever happens, and we must be aware that we have learned from that, or
Yeah.
whatever the phrase was. And I remember really respecting Warner Bros. For doing that, but now it's just like no, scrap it, destroy it. almost be gone.
I mean,
All right.
particularly at the time that in the late 19th century, the Manchu were in control of China, so this would have been extremely accurate stereotype.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Very.
I mean, to quote Jack talking about Mortal Kombat moves, yeah, the Sub-Zero Spinal Rip is a brutal finisher fatality.
And there you go, Yizz. That's another of the images that got a different book shut down. So I think this Chinese one is from what I saw on Mulberry Street, and the one you're about to see was from If I Ran a Zoo. So
Oh, this will be good.
this
Let's have a
this is
look
the
at
one
this
where
one
I
then.
genuinely am a bit worried about your channel, to be honest. Because
I'm
like,
not. I'm not.
okay.
It'll be fine.
Please,
It'll be
please,
fine.
please. Twitter. I mean, how Yizz got quote unquote suspended on Twitter for saying Hillary Clinton's a dirty rigger.
Yep.
I
she is,
mean, I
though.
will say, I'm just saying that's. I mean, I got banned off Twitter for saying the.
Here's another one
Scottish
that got a
police are-
Dr. Seuss book banned for obvious reasons. I mean,
Okay,
I mean,
That's what I mean. It's like,
I
I don't mind a page being inserted in new copies where it's like, look, some of this is a bit racist, we get it, but this is literally almost a
it's
century
not.
old now.
This is not. No, don't use that word.
Oh
No,
my!
we don't use that
Jesus!
word around here.
Jesus Christ! Dumbo has literally a character called Jim Crow. Just saying. I'm just saying.
I fucking love
Hey,
Dumbo.
Mark Twain had a character called Nigger Jim, didn't he?
Oh
Like
dear.
Among other
people
things.
used different words in a different time.
No, I get that.
and
I get
and
that.
you know, you can say what you want about what the words eventually meant, but there's no reason to go erasing art and literature and history because of retarded progressive reasons.
I mean,
You can
hell,
say
if
what
memory.
you want about, like, you can go back and say, oh, well, look how women were kept. Okay, maybe that was sexist. Okay, look at this language we used. Okay, maybe that was ugly racial stereotypes. But there's no reason to book burn it and memory hole it. That's
No, absolutely not.
That's
Absolutely
worse. In
not.
my opinion.
Hell, I really like to watch the Song of the South again. But my God, trying to find a DVD copy is like trying to find a needle in a haystack.
But yeah, I can
Probably-
believe it.
You're probably better off just torrenting it at this point.
Yeah.
Well,
Alright,
to be fair, it's one of the
Zen,
early.
you're giving me way too many. We can't look at memes
Sorry.
all day. We got to move.
Sorry.
Yeah, to that film, that's one of the earliest live action / animated films. It was made back in 1940. So, and to answer your question, Jack, I'd love to do the spear move on the entirety of Silicon Valley, but sadly, I can't do the voice. So that's Ed Boon's baby.
I'm a big fan of one of the best fatality in the most recent game, where he stabs with the spear, he jumps over them, goes through a portal underneath them, and then comes up and just slices them in half. It's so smooth. It's so cool.
All right, the next
I
one we're
would
going to
take
look
both,
at is the supposed health commissioner, the retarded one. Now, someone sent me this. Someone sent me this, and I can't confirm it. I looked online to try to find confirmation of this, and I don't know if this is the weird tran bag that is supposedly going to be given health commissioner or whatever under Biden. But apparently, this is like a 60-year-old man in like baby doll get up, which is, you know, vomit inducing on its own.
Yeah,
but
that's
let alone, why would you want this
Got it,
person
Ira.
in a position of power about health and medicine in your country? Come on now, come on, man.
I mean,
Oh,
it just.
man.
I'm not sure if you guys remember about the 50-year-old man who was a 6-year-old girl from a few years back.
Oh, I remember that.
I'm
Yes.
not- Yeah. This is just literally the person. And also, do you know what? I'm trying to think what they remind me of. The health secretary, but I can't quite put. It reminds me of like a horror villain. I forget the name
Horror
of it,
villain?
but like, because I don't. No, but like, you know that type of face where literally it could easily turn into like a skeleton and scare the crap out of people.
No, I know
Yeah.
what you mean. It literally
Yeah.
looks like someone wearing a skin suit. But in fairness, that's most like people that's like Biden's age. Like,
I mean, how that I could argue there is legitimate proof for lizard people, or just very nasty cockroaches like in Men in Black.
mm-hmm.
Excuse me. All right, we're gonna move
Excuse you.
Oh, I love Men in Black. It's good shit.
on. All right.
The originals.
Next, we have a fun meme. That is, it's some likely desert-dwelling people somewhere in the Middle East. They are bombing us again, Dad. Do not worry, my daughter. It is different this time. We are now being bombed by Kamala Harris, the first female vice president of USA. We should be proud, part of history. And then in come the American bombs. Probably plastered all over the bombs are rainbow flags and BLM fists, if I had to imagine. Okay, let's do one more. Let's do a dad joke, and then we'll move on to some news here. All right,
Damn it, Dad.
We'll do us a dad joke, because dad jokes are fun. All right. This is a good visual gag, so let's give it a minute to let everybody soak this in. Soak this up, rather.
Hold on.
Oh, fuck's sake.
I'm gonna guess this is a German joke.
No, this is an
No,
English, this is a very, very
it's a
English
visual
joke.
joke. It's a dad joke, so it's going to be punny and terrible.
All
It was
right.
the best of Shires. It was the.
It was
All right.
He muttered
Take a minute there.
disappointment in his voice.
What'd you say, 3 of 12?
So it took a minute there.
Yeah. Oh, goodness. All right. Okay, well, we're at the 30-minute mark, so we're gonna see what chat has to say here. First up, we have a very generous paid chat by a good friend of the channel, the Alabaster. She gives us $20 to say just a little support for the channel, and I really do appreciate that, my friend. Thank you very much.
Hey.
Okay.
It's been hard for me to find odd jobs at being so cold and rainy all the time, and of course, because of the China virus and all of the retarded reaction to it, I still don't have any official work contracts out here in the middle of nowhere, so every little bit helps me a lot. And the next purchase for the channel, since I'm not doing much activism and stuff right now, I am looking into what kind of high-quality microphone to get so I can have a wonderful ASMR voice like Don the Pleb and other people that have good microphones. So I'm very much looking forward to that. So hopefully that will be a purchase coming up in the next month when I start doing more streams. So thank you very much. Over on Entropy, we don't have anything else, and I'm just refreshing Cash App, and there's nothing over there. And now I'm going to check PayPal and see if we've had anything come in over on the PayPal. And unfortunately, PayPal takes 9 years to log into for some reason. And okay, finally, there we go. And it's looking like nothing new over on PayPal yet either. So we are going to check the chat, and we are going to see what regular chat has to say. Now remember, I encourage everybody in the YouTube chat, if you have important things to say or questions or ideas to put to the panel, go over to Entropy and put them there, preferably in the question widget on the left-hand side, because then it's easy for me to see at any point, and I don't have to dig through the chat. So today we've got Tom Sawyer, we've got Chet with us, we've got the usual Jack Blade. How you doing, friend? We've got the Teutonic Knight. We've got Mark. Oh, Lumpy Space Prince. I can't say that I remember that name. That might be somebody new, or I just don't remember. We've also got Bertie with us. Hello, Bertie. Good to see you, friend. We've got Robert Verlinden with us. We got Evil Author 1776. The correct number, by the way. And, of course, All Minus One, Bill. We've already talked about him. Okay. We're going to move on now. No more memes. We're going to go to some stories. The first story we're going to look at is one that might make people kind of pissed, especially if you're American.
Okay.
Let's see. Let's get this up here so people can see it. All right. Let's make this a little bigger. All right. Everybody should
Why
be able
am
to
I
see
not
that pretty well.
surprised?
Oh no.
Yes. Those of you who pay attention to American news and the absolute disaster of the last 10 months in America, or 12 months now, there were almost endless riots, protests, buildings being smashed, and government facilities being set on fire, so once, even with government officials barricaded inside. And the mayor of Portland, one of the most cancerous anti-white cities in America, was even seen with the protesters with Antifa BLM. Well, KGW found that 31 of 90 protest cases have already been dismissed by the Department of Justice, despite warnings that there could be consequences for acts of violence. In Portland, Oregon, federal prosecutors have dismissed a third of the cases when protesters claim agents. And the reason why I think this is important to bring to light is these cases were extant months ago, but they were held and not addressed until after Biden was in office, and now we're seeing them dropped across the country. Almost like they were waiting to see how things shook out, right? And I think it's important for people to know this. This is not being covered by the mainstream media. This is a local news outlet. This is a CBS local news over in Oregon. And I don't think that you're going to, the mainstream media, talk about how all these BLM Antifa communist radicals are being just let go and just their cases dropped and just set back out into the street to do more terrorism. I don't think MSM is going to talk about this, and the DNC is certainly not going to talk about it. So I encourage all my viewers to pay attention to your local news and put pressure on local officials if you live near these cities or in states with these awful cities to do the right thing, which is, of course, prosecute these terrorists for what they are. So any commentary from the peanut gallery on this?
I mean, I'm not surprised, and also wasn't the Antifa guy who was at the Capitol Hill? What didn't he get paid like 35 grand by the MSN, or was that all fake news?
No, I think that was true. I don't remember, but I can't validate. But I'm pretty sure that was true. Didn't they talk about it on one of Tim's live streams recently?
Yeah, it was about a couple of weeks ago. I remember. I just saw it like in my feed, but I didn't watch it because like I have too much stuff to catch up with. And sometimes Tim, he goes on for like half an hour for a story that he could easily in a video where he could easily do it in 5 minutes, and he likes to ramble.
Yeah, I really hate Tim's like main channel videos. I like his stuff on the live stream because they tend to like they flow a lot better.
Live stream is worth your time. In my opinion,
his individual videos, he just keeps talking and talking, and I don't think I've ever watched one all the way at the end. I think by the third the way through, I'm like, okay, I've heard everything I need to hear.
Yeah. This is why if I ever had a conversation with Temple, I'll end up basically bullying him.
And Birdie, I just saw that you shared my video in the House of Scrub. Thank you, friend. I appreciate that. All right, we're going to move away from this article and move on to something else, so we're not here all day. Next thing we're going to look at is a Breitbart article. And yes, I know that Breitbart has its biases, and I know that sometimes it's a little fakey with the way it presents things. But this is a rather decent article, and I want to share this and read through some of it because I don't know if many of you know this or not, but RSBN got struck and taken off of YouTube for 2 weeks. RSBN for the sin of simply live streaming what was happening at the Trump speech at CPAC.
Jesus Christ.
Yep.
I mean, honestly, sorry. I was just gonna say, I don't know why Trump turned up. I mean, really, he should have turned up and just took a giant crap on the CPAC just to really stick the knife in, because ultimately they deserve it.
Okay, here's the thing. The reason I wanted to highlight this article is for censorship. Censorship, excuse me, is probably the most challenging obstacle that we have had for the last several years. Not just for nationalism, but for regular people to know what the hell is going on. And it's specifically because of this kind of bias. Look at this. The video of Trump's speech achieved nearly 4 million views before censored by Google-owned platform. Here's the tweet from RSBN about it. RSBN has been suspended from YouTube for 2 weeks because has been suspended for 2 weeks because of the Trump CPAC speech, which violated their guidelines on election misinformation. Now, here's the thing. Why should a news platform that covers a public event be denied a platform for a sin that it didn't commit? Let's say that you run a city blog, right? Let's say you live in a beautiful city somewhere in, I don't know, a tourist town like Paris. And you're walking around and you're doing a YouTube live stream. And while you're out, two Americans on vacation walk past and they're complaining about the election. Should that person be suspended for 2 weeks just because someone else that they don't control said something haram? No, of course not. Like, this is absolutely ludicrous and clearly weaponized by these giant, awful platforms to try to suppress everything contrary to the lie narrative that they want to push. And I just want people to be aware of what's going on, so I wanted to feature this story on the stream today. So we don't really need to read more about it. I'm going to go ahead and put the link of this article in the chat for those of you who want to look more into it on your own. So what do you guys have to say about this? Anything you want to share?
Go ahead. I'll go last.
No, it's just more the same. And no one cares.
I mean,
I think people do care.
People do
like,
care.
People who aren't plugged in.
People who aren't.
No, I think regular people are starting to realize this is going on. There's not a lot they feel like they can do about it.
I mean, I poll normies in my life about how they feel about these sort of things all the time, and their feelings aren't. Their problem isn't so much that they don't. It isn't that they don't realize that it's going on. Is that one, they're not as articulate about it as we are. Two, they get the feeling, but they're not sure what exactly to point their finger at. And three, they're also apathetic about it because they already have so much going on in their own lives. Not everyone can focus on these sort of things. And I know
me. Me. I'm just saying this is why Scorpion needs to come out from the Netherrealm and spear the crap out of Silicon Valley and slice their heads off.
I see you've moved on from Doom Guy to Scorpion as your new icon.
Sorry.
I love it.
Since we're talking about Mortal Kombat, I'm thinking Scorpion's my favorite character. He's by far the best character, despite not being top tier. But okay, he's cool as fuck.
Was someone's phone ringing in the background? I thought I heard something.
that was me.
Ow.
Yeah, it's alright. Don't worry.
I just don't want
about
someone
it.
missing a call. That's all.
Don't worry. Don't worry. It's the CCP coming to try and silence you. It's fine. Just continue. Anyway, but I mean, hell, as I was saying, yeah, who doesn't want to be Scorpion? A freaking vengeful.
Skeleton Man.
No. He's. I forget what the type is on.
Revenant.
That's it. He's a revengeful revenant who's a ninja with fire powers. Who doesn't want that?
Also, despite looking like the evil one, he's kind of the good guy. Because Sub-Zero's the one who killed his family.
Well, no. That's not technically true. He was framed.
Sub-Zero.
No. Sub-Zero was framed. Okay, but Bi-Han, the original Sub-Zero, was completely innocent. Okay, that was a frame job.
Oh shit! I didn't know that. The Mortal Kombat lore runs deep.
Okay, speaking of a frame job, speaking of a frame job,
yes.
What do you think about this?
Well, considering what literally just happened in Scotland, immediately I'm calling sus. Have you seen what happened in Scotland, Yizz, by the way?
No.
A lot of tragic things happen in Scotland every day. What are we talking about?
You guys aren't aware of the Scotland chicanery. Oh boy. Okay.
Well,
so I'll try
give me a link. We'll talk about that next.
Wait. Is this about Nicholas Surgeon?
And Salmond.
Oh
Today, in federal court in Brooklyn, a 3-count indictment was unsealed charging Jacob Daskal with coercing minors to engage in illicit sexual conduct, transportation of a minor with intent in criminal sexual activity, and traveling with intent to engage in illicit sexual conduct. Oy vey is all I have to say. Oy vey. Very based comment is the only comment on the thread so far.
And another Skywalker and another one from the Skywalker tribe has been captured.
Not a big fan of playing the public opinion is a guilty game, but yeah, if he did it, fry his ass.
Well, just remember, ladies and gentlemen, there is a rule when it comes to cases like this. If they follow certain symbols, there's a 99% chance they are guilty. Just remember that.
Yep.
I disavow strongly.
We're going to look at it. We're going to look at an unvetted article here that Zen just shared, and this article, I'm just going to read it to the rest of the class. Banana Republic without the bananas. Andrew Neil eviscerates Sturgeon chaos. Andrew Neil has launched a scathing attack against Nicola Sturgeon and her ruling SNP government, warning these dark, even dangerous days for Scotland. Is this a video that we need to watch, Sin?
No. You should be fine just reading the article itself.
Okay. The Scottish veteran broadcaster is a vocal critic of SNP leader and First Minister Nicola Sturgeon.
So do you know anything about Alex Salmond?
and has been left infuriated amid a row over an inquiry into the handling of harassment complaints against her predecessor, Alex Salmond. We'll let you talk in a minute, Zen. The former First Minister had been due to give evidence in person on Wednesday to the parliamentary inquiry into the Scottish government's unlawful investigation of sexual harassment claims against him. Okay, go Zen.
Okay, so Alex Salmond was the leader of the SNP before Nicola Sturgeon, and basically, I mean, from what I can hear, he seemed an all right guy. He just wanted Scottish independence, and that was as open and shut as it was. And with the SNP going as full ludicrous lefty, just insanity in the last couple of years, he basically went, right, you know what? No, I'm coming back and I'm going to fix this. 'Cause basically, the Scottish independence, they voted no. So he stepped down. He was like, right, okay, I couldn't get it, so I'm going to stand aside, let my successor handle things. And then he watched what she did, and he went, actually, no, I'm coming back. And then immediately he was accused of sexual assault or rape. I'm not sure what the specifics were, but it was almost blatantly a frame job, because the courts, to my knowledge, literally the girl went up on the stand, and or her lawyers did, and they went, I went to this dinner with him, and then afterwards he did these terrible things, and then Salmon's lawyers went up and went, here is video evidence that she wasn't even at that dinner that she claims she was at. And apparently they just all collapsed. But apparently Nicola Sturgeon's government has been being very sus about the evidence that would exonerate him, and there's just been a lot of dodgy stuff. The details will be in this article, but basically, literally, it's the government trying to erase its opponents with their powers, and it's Count Dankula did a much more thorough video about it because he knows Scottish politics better. But...
Sure.
We got a problem that's been following this case as well. Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Let me ask the panel a question, and then we'll look at the chat.
Yeah.
Do you think that it should be a criminal offense that carries a higher, longer prison sentence or fine to make a false accusation about a crime than the crime itself?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I believe it should be exactly equal, in that if you are willing to dole this out, if you're willing to dole this out, you should be capable of taking it. But also, I should point out, it should be very, very provable that you did it maliciously, and not that, say, you were mistaken.
Let me ask chat. Let me put a 1 in the chat.
Oh boy.
If you think that the fines and the prison sentences should be worse for a false allegation of a crime than the crime itself. I want to see what chat.
Can we get a 2 for a perfect equality? What you dole out is what you get.
Let's get a 1 in the chat if you agree with me, and 2 in the chat if you think they should be equal.
Or 3 if you think the line should carry less of a punishment.
No, that doesn't matter. No.
That doesn't matter.
Nobody here is going to say that. Nobody here would say that anyway.
Well, someone just did.
Well,
I trust John.
well, so dare I say, so by the sounds of it, Alex Salmond got me too'd. By the sounds
essentially.
of it.
Oh, there's quite a few twos. That's quite a few twos. Nice.
Okay, we got a few 2s for them being equal. Okay, I think it should be more, because I think that if you were going to be an absolute ruthless, soulless shitheel that is going to weaponize accusations of hate crimes and rape and shit against other people, I think that's even worse. And I think it should be punished even worse. If you want to have a society based on law and order, you should punish the people worse than the offenders that try to weaponize the manipulation of law and order against others. That's what I personally
can understand that.
Me personally, I say it's number 1 because it's purely for the dishonorable nature of it, and accusing somebody, especially of such a thing as rape, or especially CP, especially of being a child connoisseur, that's like the most slanderous tag you can have. And even if you even if you prove yourself innocent, it still sticks to you. You are still stained by it, and you have to do one hell of a cleanse job to freaking scrub yourself clean of that accusation, which is why I prefer the more aggressive scenario. And then people will turn around and say, because there was this case in the UK where this blatant feminist, see you next Thursday, made multiple false allegations. 4 of the people she accused ended up doing jail time until it turned out that she outright lied. I'm sure people know
Yeah.
exactly which case I'm talking about in the comments. But if you
I
can't
don't
find,
actually.
Oh, we got
But,
Matt here with us now. I'm gonna go ahead and add Matt to the chat here.
But like if you want a more public. Oh.
Matt, we've got a terrible echo on your end. Can you do something about that?
I think he's listening to a video potentially.
No,
he's
it's
listening
our
to us.
stream.
It's our stream he's listening to. Can you
you tried to
use
Just
his
hit
headphones?
stream.
He just
or
needs
something?
headphones or.
Hello.
There we go.
Hey, there we go.
Hello.
That's better.
But yeah, if you want a more public equivalent of that, look at Tobuscus on YouTube, who was one of the first victims of Drama Alert's Keemstar, who basically just.
If I'm
ran
on air,
with
I
some
can't hear
girls-
you guys through Restream.
Oh,
That's
that's
all.
weird.
Have you got us muted?
Yeah.
It might be that. Oh, it
Just a
might
minute,
be
sorry.
that his Hold, I'll put it in chat.
This is
Yeah.
why I wanted you here before the stream started, Matt.
Yeah. Let me just find
Alright.
out. Let me just find the.
You might find that I can be the stern one at times.
Let me see.
When it comes to this article and the Sturgis thing, do you want to stay on this longer, Zen, or can we move on
No,
to
I
something
just
else?
thought I'd speak on it because we are literally seeing these hate crimes and things literally being used to effectively take over a country and to silence their political opponents as open
I
and
found
shut
the
as it can
article.
be. Oh,
Yeah, I
dear.
found the
We're
article.
going to
Gemma Beale was her
Nope.
name.
I mean, no
I
difference.
feel
than
like I
usual.
recognize that.
Gemma Beale, 27, West Ham was jailed for 10 years in August 2017 after claiming she was sexually assaulted by 6 men and raped by 9 over the space of 3 years.
Boom.
Yeah, just silenced her.
But yeah,
Alright.
so Tobuscus on YouTube was accused of rape, and it was almost immediately proven false. But he never came back from that. And also, yes, I was about to say Jack Blade, Johnny Depp. Yeah, Johnny Depp completely just dropped by everybody in the industry, and it has been blatantly proven that he's a victim. It's horrific.
Yep.
Yeah, and yet somehow he lost that slanders lawsuit against his son,
Yes,
which
even-
I don't
but then-
get.
But then Harry and Meghan succeeded in their slander lawsuit. Like what?
and people that
I'm
I know,
just-
people that I know who know that he's been redeemed, Johnny Depp in particular, nobody cares about him anymore, even though they know that he's not that he's a victim.
Jesus. He's such.
Although
He's
one
such a...
bit of justice.
Go ahead. Sorry, Kizza.
I was just going to say one bit of justice. I did hear Amber Heard was actually fired from Aquaman 2.
I heard that as well. So that, like, maybe we're seeing the steps where he
All right.
comes back, hopefully. But I was going to say he's one of those lovely actors.
Okay, we
Sorry.
gotta move on. We gotta move on.
sorry.
We got shit to do.
Sorry.
The next thing we're gonna look at is still in the UK.
Yep.
And it is a blatantly anti-white job description. Look at
Yes. Yes.
Oh yeah.
Stonewall Diversity Champion. This registration of interest is only open to those of an ethnic minority background or a WAMN. This is anti-male and anti-white. This should be
Completely illegal.
blatantly illegal
Yeah.
in the UK, especially since they get funding from the government. This should be illegal, and yet it's not. I just wanted to highlight this for everyone.
Well,
I will be putting the link in
Yeah,
the
I
chat,
did
and you can complain about this in the UK if you want. You can send a letter. You can make a phone call. Actually, the link is too long to even put in YouTube chat because YouTube fucking sucks.
did see this on
All right.
on everyone's favorite YouTuber from Swindon, and
Indeed.
as I told people in the chat, they can be sued for this under the 2010 Equalities Act under discrimination.
I'd hope so.
And,
I think I
it
saw
makes
his
me laugh.
grab.
No, they can actually be sued for this because public office, they're not allowed to discriminate. And also
Yeah.
the 2010 Equality Act is quite recent. But also, technically speaking, the BBC had a similar issue with positive discrimination, and they got so much crap for it that they took it down. You'll still find
So
articles.
if you
on
are
it.
in the UK, I highly recommend that you call and make a stink about this and call it out for being illegal and anti-white at the same
Yeah,
time.
they're just hoping.
No,
to
just
get
tell
away
them
with
straight.
it.
Just tell them straight. You're going to sue them. Tell them straight. You're going to outright sue them.
Yeah,
Nice.
don't let them get away with it because what they're looking for
Yeah.
is to do illegal things, and they're probing to see how much of a hullabaloo it'll actually raise.
And this is what people don't seem to understand when they say, "Oh, they get away with it." It's like, yeah, it's because if you don't throw them under the bus in the court, that's
Oh, we're losing Kizza.
what people don't go the bus. No,
We lost Kizza.
damn it, what do you mean?
Yeah.
The feds are getting
Lost.
them.
You're having internet connection problems, Kizza.
Boris is coming. Boris is coming.
Me. I'm Rick.
All right, we're
What do
gonna
you mean
move
I'm
on.
having
He's
connection
fearing that
issues?
you're going to spread the
coup.
coof. He's fearing that you might
Matt?
spread the coof to us through the restream.
Am I here?
Matt,
Am
I
I here?
added you. Can you hear us? And can we hear you? Let's
hello.
hear from Matt here.
Hey, Matt.
Hey. Yeah, you seem to be back, yes.
Yep, I can hear you now. I'm using the YouTube tab. Sorry for there's like a delay. It's going to cause
That's not going to
confusion.
work because there's going to be like a 20-second delay. That's not going to work. You have to be able to hear us in the lobby.
Sorry
Oh, dearie me.
Mate,
Oh,
turn off your
dear Lord.
speakers.
Matt, this is why I needed you here before we started to get this sorted. I'm sorry, but we can't do this during the stream, friend. I'm sorry. All right, we got to move on. The next thing is an important thing that I wanted to look at today. This will be the last thing that we cover. No, actually, no. No, I'll tell you what. We're going to do something simple first. We're going to save that one for next. What we're going to do is look at this now. Okay. All right. Normally, within a couple of months of a president taking office, a president will give an address of some sort to the assembled congressional government. They will talk to the government about their plans, what they're going to do, and they will take questions from the assembled Congress and from the media. And not only did Joe Biden wait like a month longer than most presidents in the past before doing this, but this is how it went, and we're going to listen to it.
Thank you. And I'm happy to take questions if that's what I'm supposed to do, Nance, whatever you want me to do.
So in the live stream,
Jesus.
Yep.
Biden gave a short cookie cutter delivery of boring crap that we're not going to listen to. And then he said, we'll listen to it again.
To take questions if that's what I'm supposed to do, Nance, whatever you want me to do.
I'm going to take questions. If that's what you want me to do, I'll do whatever you want me to do.
This is almost as bad as Salute the Marine.
Yeah, it's like, exactly. It's like this guy is such a moronic husk of a puppet. Like, he's like, whatever you need me to do, I'll do it. It's like, okay, you fire nukes. Oh, you give us economy. Oh, you destroy jobs and pipeline. Like, what the fuck, man?
But on Fifth Mask.
This imposter is the president of the so-called president, if you could hear the air quotes, of the United States. It's ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
It's
can I just
spooky,
say, but this does raise a question for everyone here. Did Joe Biden deplatformed?
Yes. By his handlers.
Yeah, they had to pull him off
Everyone's
because he
gone
was
quiet.
revealing the fact that he had handlers. Oh Christ!
Yeah, I mean that's one for the chat. What do you reckon, guys? Number one to say yes, he got deplatformed, and two saying no, he didn't get deplatformed.
Hey, the mask didn't just fall off. It's
I'm
like
gonna
down
say
the
one.
hallway.
I don't even think that they're wearing it.
This is something the Lotus Eaters have been saying a lot recently, where they're like, they're going so full mask off, and it's like, and yet nothing's happening.
Yeah.
Like,
I think things are happening in a small local way. There is a lot of pushback against this stuff.
The more people
Like, look at
see
what Texas and Florida are doing. Tennessee has a lot of change happening right now. There is stuff being done. It's just you wouldn't know about it according to the MSM. You only know about it through local news and chat rooms and shit.
John Anderson in chat. There's nothing wrong with that. My grandma asks things like
Yeah,
that all
I
the
mean-
time at the home.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I mean, the whole stuff with Texas, it just makes me laugh how they're saying, yes, we need to go all in on green energy. And it was completely useless with Texas being in -10. Yeah.
That's the strong
Okay,
argument
I
against
was going to
it,
say
but
I've
okay.
heard that is fake news. I believe it is more just that their regular infrastructure and energy, and their mains wires weren't properly ice proofed because no one fucking expected Texas to end up below zero.
It's more than just that. It was all the infrastructure going
Yeah,
from the mains wiring all the way to the
Yep.
gaskets and stuff in the various energy
Yep.
producing facilities, because coal was down, the wind farms had to be stopped, the solar panels were obviously covered with snow. I mean,
Yeah. So it wasn't just
Yeah.
the green energy. It was just Texas did not expect to have to deal with freezing temperatures.
yeah, and you could make the argument
so-
that if they hadn't spent so much money diversifying, that they could probably have better facilities. But again, didn't expect it coming. Probably not really their fault. I wouldn't
Well,
be too harsh on it.
let's move on because we're already at the hour mark here.
Mhm.
So Matt says he's got his stuff sorted out, so we're going to try him one more time.
Fingers crossed.
Hello.
Welcome to
Testing.
the panel, Matt. How's it going?
Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you too.
Oh, thank God.
Fantastic.
Good.
Glorious.
Good. Okay. All right.
He is
Hey,
no
thanks
longer
for-
called
Got a Matt
confusion
with us.
and delay.
Yeah,
Sorry about that.
That's all right. All right. The last thing that we're going to cover today, before we get to the main topic of discussion, is this article, and I will be sharing this in the chat for you guys to have a read yourselves.
This should be good.
Okay. This is UK news, and it is despicable.
Oh Lord.
Bristol Council passes motion on reparations
no.
for city's role in slavery.
Saw this on Flower Eaters.
Yes.
Unfortunately, I'm not the one to break this story.
I
sadly,
was literally on a
but,
stream last night talking about this. It's just.
But go ahead and
Yeah.
talk about it, because it needs to be talked about.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, just Bristol.
we go.
Bristol's just going to give money to black people.
This
Because
is my show, Zen. Shut up. All right, here we go. Councilors have voted overwhelmingly in favor of a plan for atonement and reparation for Bristol's role in the transatlantic slave trade. Bristol City Council passed the motion at an extraordinary full council meeting on Tuesday. Why aren't they social distancing? The motion, atonement and reparation for Bristol's role in the transatlantic traffic in enslaved Africans, was supported by 47 councilors and opposed by 12. Ahead of the meeting, Green Party councilor Cleo Lake, who brought the motion, said the city had played a leading role in trafficking and enslaving people, so as a city, we now need to play a leading role in being honest about that and calling for systemic change. She added, reparations is not a paycheck for the descendants of people who were enslaved. It's a process outlined by the UN, which looks for holistic repair. This can include public apologies, struggle sessions, perhaps, social justice incentives, stealing white people's money,
Yep.
education or cultural projects, denying opportunities to white children and men, commemorative ceremonies, affirmative action, and much more. So reparations is not just going to be taking money out of your pocket to throw at people. It's going to be forcing you to kiss the ring, taking away the future of your children, and shaming you if you complain about it. That's the face of reparations. And now a council in the UK is voting to make it law. Everyone in the UK needs to raise absolute hell about these goddamn animals before they overtake your country.
If it helps, this is the Green Party, and this seems to be the only place they have power. So
fight them before the cancer
well, look,
spreads,
if they
is
want to
my
trash
point.
Bristol, they can trash Bristol all they fucking like. That's their business.
No, I
Yeah,
disagree.
Zen, did you forget about Brighton?
Yeah, I completely
They can trash
disagree.
Brighton as well. I couldn't give a toss. If they want to vote these people in, then they get what they fucking deserve.
Yes, but this should be the vaccine. This should be the vaccine. They should never be voted in ever again. This should be the end of this. This should be all
Yes,
they
exactly.
need, that they
Well,
never
I
get
do have
voted ever again.
well, I do have a solution, but sadly, I don't. I think for the viewers, it might be too strong.
It's always too strong, Kizza.
No, it's very simple.
Yes.
All those who demand repatriations they can pay back the money we've given to Africa in foreign aid, and everyone who suggests this idea gets public beatings with
Yeah,
a
but
belt,
Because
Robert
of-
Freeman style.
Okay. Because of David Lammy, people don't give money to Africa anymore.
Yes, but that's a good thing because, as lovely friend the academic agent pointed out, foreign aid is cancer.
It is cancer.
So
And
I
we
wanted to
should-
bring this to everyone's attention to let you know that there is one place in all of the UK right now that is apparently has the majority of the votes that they need in a small way to start pushing for reparations. You all need to squash this in the bud and publicly shame these morons and make sure they never work again. That's the point of bringing this up. All right.
Oh, I'm very good at shaming.
So-
I am very good at shaming.
Do more than shaming.
All right. So we're going to move on now to the main topic after we check chat. We're going to go ahead and refresh PayPal and Cash App, and we're going to see what we have going on over here. Feel free to talk amongst yourselves while I do this for a minute.
But yeah, I mean, like I say, it's like with blue cities where they're just collapsing in on themselves. Like, look, if you guys want to keep voting in these same people who keep doing these same things, just sit in your cities and burn them to the fucking ground. Do what you like. Just leave me alone.
Yeah.
And
Again,
the moment
again,
you come
this
near
is why-
my house with that kind of shit,
No, that's not good enough. It's just not
No,
even
no, you
close
see-
to good enough. Because that's how it
No, no.
eventually creeps into your neighborhood.
Yeah.
Just
I
everyone
mean,
need to
viewers
talk-
over
well, no,
on
we should
DLive.
talk about it.
I'd like to thank people over on DLive, Iron Spark for the diamond. Thank you very much. And then we've got ice creams and lemons coming in from Alex, Jim, and the Rock 2021. Thank you guys. Oh, and there's lemons from Jim as well. Thank you guys for the DLive donations. I appreciate it. No new chats, paid or otherwise, for the panel over on Entropy, and Cash App and PayPal are still blank. So let's check the regular chat and see what we have going on. Western Resonance quoted an excellent meme curative from the Go Free book about how to respond to the meme pathogens, the anti-white cancer phrase. When it comes to reparations, the meme curative phrase to say to combat that is there is no atonement for a sin never committed. We cannot atone for the make-believe sins pushed against us. You can't be sorry for something that you never did. And that is the meme curative phrase to defeat the reparations argument.
no, I would
Very
go.
well said, Western Resonance.
I would go in further, and they say demand repatriation. I'm saying, okay, then sure. How about you cover the money we paid into Africa with 400 years worth of interest? Then.
Yeah, a pseudonym just brought that up. Way of the World said on Twitter the other day
Never
that we
agreed
should
to
be
that.
the ones getting reparations for all the multiculturalism damage that's been forced upon us.
I mean,
I
hell,
agree
I
with
think I think it was Ralph, who I believe he did a piece where he worked out saying that Black Americans have claimed like the amount that they would get in repatriations in the last 25 to 30 years just in welfare. I might be misquoting or misremembering that.
I don't know the figures on that, but I'm sure it's something ridiculous like that.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't be surprised, but yeah. But this, ladies and
We're
gentlemen, this is why public beatings need to be the norm. To stop.
Jesus.
Again,
Extreme
Robert
as
Freeman
usual,
style.
Kizza.
No, Robert
All right,
Freeman style.
All right. The last segment of the show is something that Matt wanted to talk about. That's why I wanted to have him on today. Our friend Bill, over from All Minus One and Ends Justify the Memes, called in on the call-in show called weeklynarrative.locals.com. And we're getting ready to share that right now. Boop, there it goes. And we're going to take a couple of minutes, just 2 minutes, and we're going to listen to what Bill had to say in the call-in, because this is what we're going to talk about for the rest of the show, which is a culture and race issue of the Western world, especially in America. So everybody be quiet. Here we go.
I'm not entirely sure on that one.
Yeah, I wasn't really sure with that either. I mean,
Maybe there's, let's say there's other comment here. Bill, you got any thoughts on that one before we hit this other comment?
Man, I don't want to knock on your caller or nothing, but to me that just sounds like I call myself a classical liberal, but part of that, classical liberals always had Christian values, and part of that to me is like obfuscation of what is actually going on, because this whole thing is about racial justice in the end. It's about these people didn't have the right choices for things, and they're trying to expand it out to other folks because they have to justify, why does Larry Elder exist? Why does Thomas Sowell exist? Why do those folks exist? Why are they Uncle Toms? They have to justify everything, no matter what. It always comes back to power, and they are being oppressed, and they will say anything and everything in order to gain power. This is part of Saul Alinsky's tactics. Don't worry about lying. Just lie. Just tell them to lie.
Keep the lie going.
It's like I said, yeah, keep it going, and we can talk about, it can be applied other ways, and, this and that, but the reality is it comes back to culture. We all know that. Look at the infographic from the Smithsonian, all the stuff it said. I covered this on All Minus One and on my live show, The Justify the Memes. We talked about it when it came out. It's probably a really bad show because we had a lot of tech issues in the beginning. But look, I mean, we're just not tech guys.
I know how that goes.
But the reality is, right, a lot of people talked about that infographic because it was like, this is in our institutions. It is in our government, and it's not about anything but shaming people. One of the folks I've had on my show on the Justify the Memes, Yizz the Eunuch, this is her big deal, is fighting against this anti-white narrative. To me, I think you need more tools in the toolbox, and maybe she's expanding more than just that. But it's not about race. It's about culture, but we're conjoining culture and race.
Yeah.
And so, and again, I don't like the word race generally because ethnicity is a better marker. You read Thomas Sowell's book, Race and Culture, he gets into that certain ethnicities, certain ethnic groups had better work ethics than others, and they tend to do better. Nigerians come over from Africa to the United States, and they do really, really well. So why is that? Is that about race? Is that about whiteness in Nigeria? Or is it about a culture that is a cultural mentality,
Yeah, no, that brings up exactly the point that I wanted to make there is that whiteness, the racism that they try to talk about today, white supremacy, quote unquote, can only really exist if they continue to expand the definition. And that definition now has shifted from an actual race thing to a culture thing.
Yeah.
They won't admit it. They'll never admit it. But what they're talking about with white supremacy now, I mean, they tacitly admit it when they come out with the stuff like the Smithsonian that says, being on time is whiteness and stuff like that. But white supremacy just means that you follow the white principles, basically, or the Western principles and values. It doesn't have anything to do with race anymore. So that's the only way they can continue to call people white supremacists, because people who are lynching blacks and dragging them behind trucks and murdering them in the street and pulling them out of their house and just killing them, those don't exist anymore.
Yeah.
All right, that's enough before the femoid talks. We're going to kill that. Okay. So, Matt, we listened to what you wanted us to listen to, and now for the rest of the show, why don't you guide us on what you want to talk about in regards to what was just said there? Let's turn the floor over to you for a minute.
Thanks, Yizz. I'm honored to be on the as a guest. I agree with them.
Glad to have you.
I agree with them, and the direction is these mega corporations and other entities they're sort of flagellating, trying to get people to look at race. And he said that it's all about culture, and it is, and that's the truth, but they want to make it seem like it's about race, and they want people focusing on melanin content, melanin levels. They want people fighting each other, and they're flagellating and over animated about it. And they'll never, like you said, they'll never admit that it's about culture. That's all I said, all I wanted to say in chat. But
all right, well, here is my take on this. It's going to be three things. The first thing is, it is not about culture and ethnicity the way we are attacked. We are attacked for being white. White is a race. It is a large racial group.
Mode. That's the mode they use.
Let me finish. It's a big, complex group like Asian. I'm not attacked for being of Scottish heritage or being from Ukrainian heritage. The people who are being attacked by the anti-whites in the cities like London, LA, they're not being attacked because they're Californian or American or English. They're being attacked because they're white. So that's the primary reason why I talk about race and put this in a racial lens. Number two, when it comes to race, that is a big earmarker for who belongs in a place and who doesn't when it comes to national identity and when it comes to the building block of what an ethnicity is. which is a group of people in a place over time that develop A, B, C, D, and E until they become an identifiable people. Race is the primary building block of an ethnicity. And number 3, the reason why it matters, is we need a common emotional thread to get people by the millions, the people who just want to sit on the couch, the dads who just want to grill, the regular folks who just want to be left alone. We need a common emotional thread to get them motivated and unified, and them being oppressed by their race is an excellent way to do that. So those
Yeah,
are the
that's
3
true. I
reasons
agree
why
with
I
that.
go on about race a lot. So now that I've said that, let's hear from you again.
No, I agree with that. That's an excellent point. Yeah, we just happen to be in the Anglosphere, mostly white. That's why they're going after us, because we're white. Because that's an easy identifier. They can group us all together easily.
No.
So let's hear from some panelists about this. 3 of 12, we had a good long conversation about this in Discord last night in the Cabal, which I will be linking, by the way. You should totally join the Cabal. Oozaloo's actually live right now, and we'll be going over to watch him after this. But 3 of 12, why don't you share a bit about this?
Yeah, I was going to bring that up. Yeah, exactly. I gave it a bit of thought last night, and I think I've come to your side a little bit more on this. I now see why you use the term white, because of the how it's used as an identifier in the United States. Considering many Americans do not know their exact background, but you look at someone and you can immediately tell that they're white, and it creates this natural separation because of the history of the United States.
You're a little quiet. Can you
get closer?
can you
Yeah.
get closer to your mic a little bit for me, please, and take those last 2 sentences over again,
Okay.
please. Much better, thank you.
The anti-white slogan makes a lot more sense in the United States because of the fact that many Americans do not know their background, so they easily delineate each other as white, black, Asian, Latino. So they often target us as a monolith. Now, we're obviously not a monolith. We're all different. But in the United States, it's a convenient, low-hanging fruit that they can target. I used the term anti-West last night, and I think it's still accurate. And like you said, it's good that they're interchangeable, because here they are definitely in an absolute sense.
Yeah, definitely, because the West is primarily made by Europeans, which are white folks,
Right.
and there's no West without Western kind. And lots of times, saying anti-Western to a group, you don't miss a lot of people who would otherwise be turned off by racially charged language. So read the room and know how to talk about things. That's another reason that anti-West and anti-Western is a good tool in the toolbox.
Yeah, definitely. I think it makes more sense in an absolute sense, because you have to understand that the United States isn't the only major stage in these sort of politics. It's so much worse in the UK and Canada, and
it's also getting really bad with the Chinese anti-whites in Australia.
Oh yes, definitely. As much as we're all eternal Anglos here, I think we're going to have to expand our horizons a bit on how we crack down on this sort of thing, because there are plenty of countries that you might not necessarily think of as white, but they're definitely Western because of the influence of Western civilization on it through colonization. Now, colonization is its own can of worms, but in the immediate, there are places like Brazil that are slowly waking up to these problems as well. The Philippines, for example, very, very traditional, very Catholic, very conservative. They'd be on our side on most things, yet many people don't consider them as Western. But they've been heavily Westernized by the colonization of the Spanish and the further administration by the United States. And they're one of our closest allies. We should really be thinking about these sort of things.
And a couple of people in chat brought up good points. Art Acrobats, hello friend. Nancy Drew, hello friend. Good to see the both of you here. They bring up the fact that one of the reasons that I think that it is more appropriate to talk about this through the lens of race, especially in America, is the media, the anti-whites in universities, and the actual anti-white hate mobs. They do not separate us into ethnicities. They call the entirety of Western civilizations, all of our many countries and ethnicities, they call it all under the slur whiteness or white supremacy. They lump us all together by a single racial monolith, and that's how they attack us. So anytime that the anti-whites do anti-white things, whether it's against people in Finland or Italy or Nova Scotia, they do it under the banner of anti-whiteism. So that's why we should call it what it is, anti-white, because we are attacked as a racial group, and they categorize us as an evil racial monolith. So that's another reason why I think anti-white is appropriate.
I think a good chunk of the audience might be wondering, how the heck do we recognize such things when it happens? Well, they're going to use certain terms like equity, which is different from equality in that they want everyone to be the same. It's the age-old equality of opportunity versus equality of result argument that the egalitarians like to use to sort of justify things like communism, socialism, postmodernism, progressivism, and it's all strung from this egalitarian thinking that some refer to as social justice or cultural Marxism, or even to a lesser degree critical race theory.
Yeah, definitely. The intersectionalism of the modern era, all of the racial identity stuff, the anti-whiteism, the anti-male sentiment, the smash the patriarchy stuff, all of those anti-white elements they literally are the modern expression of Marxism. I've even done videos about this. I absolutely agree with you on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Go ahead.
Good. No, it's good. Good. You was about to make a point.
Yeah, the only other point I was going to make was perfect case example, if you want to tell how to recognize it. Since postmodernism does not believe in objective reality, you can essentially state anything, have any opinion, and you push back against criticism by saying, well, if you're not affirming my position, then you're committing violence. All criticism is a personal attack, and that's violence. And therefore, I am justified for the sake of self-defense to riot. That's what you saw at Berkeley. That's what you've seen in any of the protests. And that's why they're called mostly peaceful, because it's not aggression, it's self-defense.
That's a good point.
And that's another reason that, they want us to be this big, evil, oppressive monolith of quote-unquote whiteness, because then every action they ever take against us, whether it's raping a woman in an alley or burning down a business, they can always say it's in self-defense against the evil whiteness.
Yeah, and we can't criticize them or it justifies them.
And I'd like to say two things about equality and diversity here, since it comes up. The main curative phrases or ideas around those, the first one about equality is there can be no exception if there is equality. Eventually, there isn't even competence. There is no competence or excellence if everyone is reduced to the least capable or least able in pursuit of equality. And then the meme curative phrase for diversity is diversity means dysgenic. Multiracialism or multi-ethnicities in a single group are dysgenic. A society is the sum of its parts, and when those parts are fractured and against each other, then the sum is weaker and worse. Diversity is not a strength; it is a weakness.
At least diversity of race, not thought.
No, just diversity in general, the way that it's used these days.
Well, yep. I mean, speaking of which, this reminds me of a point where regarding Bill's latest stream, where these anti-whites will push this lie of multiculturalism, despite the fact that even in America was never multicultural. It was a culturally pluralist nation.
Yes, I'm a big fan of American
which is a completely, which is something completely different. And also, what people seem to ignore is with the United States. The United States was founded on English colonization. It was not founded by immigrants, which is a big fat lie. It was quite literally founded by English colonizers turning up and colonizing the land.
Yes, the
that's
didn't come until later.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, the mass wave of migrants afterwards from Europe, especially from like Ireland, Britain, Germany, so on and so forth, right? They were fleeing basically prosecution and tyranny within the continent of Europe itself.
Yeah, and now large groups of them did show up before the United States was formed, but all the colonies were founded by either English colonists or were taken from other colonies I mean, we're
Exactly, and this is why the big lie comes in, and also
yeah.
this whole push for the now onto with all this anti-white nationalists. They love to say us white people are all the same, but when you point out that Europe is the so-called white lands of Europe are made up of 5 different races specifically, they always seem to ignore that fact.
Sub-races technically, but yes.
Well, yes, sub-races ultimately, which are the Scandinavians,
I think
Germans.
there's only 6 or 7 human races. Everything else is a sub-race.
What do you think? Because there's the Scandinavians, there's the Slavs, there's the Germanics, there's the Celts, there's the ones of Roman
the
tribe.
Mediterranean one. I
The
forget the name of it.
I'd say Latin, the Latin tribe, and
Sure.
maybe one more one more off the top of my head, which I can't remember. But those are your main groups. Okay, those are your main groups. And technically speaking, this is something that really pisses off the anti-white types. Europe is more diverse than Africa, Asia, and the Middle East.
It is.
Yes,
it is.
And I'm not talking
that's
genetic,
not...
and I'm not just talking genetically speaking. I'm also speaking culturally.
Culturally as well. Yeah.
Yeah, because England is different to Scotland, which is different to Wales, which is different to Ireland, which is different to France, different to Spain, different to Portugal, to Germany, etc., etc. Like, you can just take one picture from Europe. I pretty much can guarantee I know exactly where that picture was taken by purely because of the architecture. And that's what people...
That's another thing to bring up when it comes to multiculturalism, is especially when you look at most places in the Middle East, not all, most, and most places in Africa, not all. When you look at those racial groups, the parent groups, the vast majority of places in the lands that those races live, they have nothing that we would call civilization. No long-standing cities, libraries, monasteries, temples, great works of art, beautiful, long-lasting systems of governance and language and creativity. And when we are lied to and told that it is noble, just, and beneficial for us to import large numbers of people from these cultureless lands, I think that is an ugly, dirty lie to us, because it's saying, let's bring in people that clearly do not care to build, create, and maintain your civilization because they don't have one and don't come from one. How on earth could that possibly be beneficial or be a strength to us?
It's also a lie. They've got culture and everything.
Exactly. Like, I mean, this is where the big lie of multiculturalism comes in, because you keep on hearing this term of a melting pot. I'm sure everyone here today has heard that term. And unlike on those people, I've actually dealt with a melting pot. Guess what happens when you spill a melting pot?
You get burned.
Yeah, it destroys, it damages almost everything it touches. That's what happens with a melting pot.
Can be on top.
Exactly. And that's ultimately the one that's the most dominant. And that's normally due by raw numbers, generally. But this goes back to the point of the multiculturalism lie. But also, even when you have people who are of quote-unquote the same race, even then that doesn't mean they're still equal. They're culturally different, mentally different.
I snuck in a meme.
Yeah.
Nice one.
I snuck in a meme here.
Yeah. Which
there is
exactly.
Too. Like
yeah,
the,
which goes...
geography.
Yeah, but this is what goes to my point. This is why, for instance, me as an Englishman, this is why I'm very English biased, is the English, especially, have a distinct mentality difference compared to the continent of Europe.
Yeah, definitely.
There's a distinct reason why liberalism and the Enlightenment happened in England, but it didn't happen in the continent of Europe, which is where we gave us Marxism.
Yeah.
Because this is the fundamental difference. And I've spoke this as well with Bill with All-1, and I believe part of the reason for this mentality is because of the fact where England is an island. England, Scotland, and Wales are on an island, whereas Germany, France, etc., they're part of a continent.
Mm-hmm.
And I do notice this as well with America. They do have, in a sense, the continental mentality of arrogance. Now, obviously, this is not an attack on Americans in general, but they seem to have the same continental mentality because of how huge and vast the country of America is. Whereas if you're on a small island, you're surrounded, you know full well the limits of your island. Yeah. So you get a good sense of your size versus everything else. But also another point regarding diversity, which is something I only found out quite recently. The King Tutankhamun of Egypt, the average Brit has more in common, genetically speaking, than the average Egyptian does today. Work that out, ladies and gentlemen.
I read somebody shared something like that in Discord a month or two ago, and I looked at that. It was very interesting. I didn't know that. That's weird. I didn't expect that.
Well, I noticed from the Wennabe Telegram chat that I'm in, who they have loads of research into genetic data, and I felt that was utterly fascinating. The fact that a king in Egypt from over 2,000 years ago, I have more in common genetically speaking than the average Egyptian does today.
That is interesting.
Yeah, I believe they said around 70% of DNA is shared between the average Brit and Tutankhamun versus 50% of genetic DNA with the average Egyptian today.
God, what was that?
That's
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, which basically shows you what happens when you have lots of colonizations from the Middle East.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, but that also brings you another point. This is what people don't understand about this push of multiculturalism, and I've had this argument before with people. If you, let's say if you take Scotland, as much everyone loves to give crap to Scotland, if the capital city Edinburgh became 50% Chinese, would it still be Scottish or would it be a Chinese colony?
Exactly.
It's a good question.
Exactly.
I mean,
what do you reckon?
Matt, anything you want to add here? Or anything you want to say?
I mean, that's one for the. That's one for the chat. Would you say number one it still be Scottish, or number two it becomes a Chinese colony?
I'd say it depends on how well assimilation goes. But when you
there is no assimilation.
Well,
I know this with.
Okay, I get that. Sorry, there must be a delay.
Sorry, so I was just gonna say, I know this from where I live with where there has been some immigrants from China and Hong Kong. They do not assimilate.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is especially true in America. I mean, they have literal Chinatowns in cities like New York.
Yes, the Chinese are the perfect case for that sort of situation because they're so extremely.
Obviously, no hatred.
Oh no, absolutely.
Oh yeah. No hatred, no hatred whatsoever. Like I said, I mean, I know people from Hong Kong, but
are heavily nationalist, and wherever they go, they make it their own.
Yes.
Well,
and
very
that's
pro
one of the things that's really plaguing Australia right now.
Oh yes, but like I said though, I mean, but this is just natural because naturally people are going to segregate into their own of people who look like them. I mean, this is a known fact.
And also, don't forget, language and religion are things that people self-select for, and that's another primary example of people want to be around those who they are like the most. Race, language, and religion, in that order, are the way that people naturally segregate the world over of all types.
Exactly. I mean, hell, in England, you have South Asians, Pakistanis, Indians, and Bangladeshis. They all despise each other, but they all live among themselves. They all live among each other because ultimately they look like each other.
And they all hate us.
Yeah, for the most part. But that's what people don't quite understand. They may hate each other, but they still live amongst it. They still live among each other, despite the fact they've had 2 civil wars within the last, since post World War II.
Mm-hmm.
And as Nancy Duke nicely said in the chat, equity is subjective and not fair. Yeah, very true. I mean, how do you define equity?
Yeah, equity and equality both are, they require the modern Marxist religion of all this intersectionality woke stuff because they are so anti-human and anti-science. They require faith. They require the rejection of reality and to embrace the dogma and the ideology for them to even work inside of a person's mind. That's why it's a secular religion. It's a soulless, evil secular religion.
Yeah, go
ahead.
Okay. Well, the claim on its face is that the point of equity is to make is to get equality of result, where everyone ends up the same. And the real only way to get that is to make everyone absolutely the same in every single way. Now, in the meantime, they're using all these subjective sort of revenge tactics to sort of make sure that as many people, or they get the sort of representation that they're looking for. But it is all subjective because are you going to put women, are you going to make women bricklayers, to quote Jordan Peterson? Are you going to make them wet workers? Are you going to put them in all the dangerous jobs? You're going to run out of women willing to do these things or have the skills very quickly because they simply don't exist.
And then you'll have to force them to.
Yeah, because they're either going to have to force them to or they're going to have to educate them. They're going to have to force them at some point because they're going to run out of them. The same is true of other races because they're not as well
And a good
educated,
example to go
perhaps.
along with that is when you look at places that have true gender freedom. like as close to true gender freedom as you can, like in
Freedom or
Yeah.
equal? Don't you mean gender equality?
Sex has become even more divergent than they are in countries that don't just remove the reins and let people do what they
Yeah.
want. Like there's been lots of studies on Sweden where men and women are vastly different in the jobs and life roles and choices that they make when there's no pressure for them to choose one way or the other. So that is excellent proof that men and women they're different genetically. And you could say the same about race, you could say the same about ethnicities and religions and other things. They demonstrably make different choices along different lines, and that's why putting tons of different demographics and shoving them together in large groups, it always ends in disaster because they don't get along. They fight.
Well, it's funny. It's funny you mentioned that, Yizz, talking about gender equality and the Scandinavian countries. Have a guess which country is the only nation to produce a Nobel Prize winning woman in mathematics? I wonder if the chat can guess this answer. Can guess this question. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just addressed chat again. So what
Yeah.
the
Sorry.
hell?
Sorry.
Like,
So yeah, I was just.
do you want us to talk or not? Like,
No. I'm just saying. I'm asking a question just to see if anyone can guess.
There's
So far, nope. Not America. Not Israel. Not Japan. Not Germany.
Didn't something
anyone-
happen recently with the female draft?
Not Nigeria.
I swear I saw something in the news about this.
Yeah, you did see something. I believe in the U.S. Army is going to
I
start
can't
allowing
find
women-
it on Google News, so it might have been suppressed and hidden by the.
No, not Brett. No, not
Possibly.
the USSR. Not Poland.
Possibly, but I believe it was some army was allowing infantry women to start wearing lipstick on base.
No,
Yeah,
no,
that was
I
the
swear-
that was the UK Army.
No, I
okay.
swear there was a thing where it was like women being forced to sign up for the draft. I swear it was something to that effect.
I swear that's old news because
Possibly.
I heard when they passed
I
out a
saw it
load
getting
of.
posted around a couple days ago.
There might have been something recently about that, but technically I did hear about stories about this a few years ago where someone went to court over the draft and they said, okay, now for equality's sake, women have to sign up for the draft. And out of spite, the women decided to get pregnant. That way they couldn't be pulled up to the draft. And so far, going through the answers, nope, nobody's got the right. Okay, nope, not Sweden, China, or Russia. No, it's none of those countries. In fact, I'll give you a clue.
France?
No, not France. It's actually a Middle Eastern country.
Oh, Saudi Arabia.
No, not Saudi Arabia.
Iran?
Yes,
Qatar?
Iran. Iran.
What?
Yep,
That's funny.
yep. You'll know
Bruh.
her. She was quite a famous woman. She died a couple of years ago due to breast cancer.
Hmm.
For some reason, it's
I
not
don't
ringing
know
any
who that is,
bells.
sorry.
She won a Nobel Peace Prize in mathematics.
The only name of a woman like that I know is not from that area. I think she's Pakistani. It's Hassan Hersi.
It's not clicking because
No, she's a human rights activist, and she's
Yeah,
from
exactly.
Somalia.
It's not clicking because I don't pay attention to the Nobel Peace Prize because it constantly nominates and gives awards to people who are either
No,
just
but this was
activists
back.
or
But
don't do
this
their
was
job.
yeah. But this was at the time where it was actually two people who actually did something worthy of it, unlike Barack Obama, who literally got it for making a speech.
I mean, I recall a few years back that the Dutch company that supposedly removed the chemical weapons from Syria was given the Nobel Peace Prize, even though they weren't successful at that. And I believe
Well, yes.
Jesus.
Well, yes, but this
Peace
was
Prize
but
is a
this
farce.
yes, but this was just to highlight the point how a so-called patriarchal society like Iran, more women are getting Nobel Peace Prizes in mathematics rather than highly gender equal nations like Sweden and Norway. In fact, there is a documentary called The Gender Equality Paradox in Norway. It's all in Norwegian, but thankfully there's subtitles. I believe it was made in 2011. People do check that out because it exposes the lie about equality, the difference between equality and freedom.
Oh, yes. Additionally, if you want to learn more about that subject, Jordan Peterson talks about it a lot and has lots of sources and statistics to back it up. He talks about it really well.
Oh, yes. So, in reality, if women who want to complain about women not being in STEM, guess what? Bring back the patriarchy with a vengeance.
Yeah, they'll get in STEM.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, the discussion topic of the day was race and culture and
Yeah.
stuff. And one thing that I want to say today that is a common thing that comes up a lot when I have these discussions is how people say that conflict and assimilation and whatnot has to do more with culture than with race. And of course, there are arguments pro and con. But the point that I want to stress most about the whole cultural assimilation thing is that ship sailed in our countries before any of us were born. Because in 1967 in America, I think it was 1968 or 69 in the UK, when the era of mass migration began under the neocon neolibs, the parameters around immigration changed dramatically. Where used to be in our countries, I know in the UK and in the US, immigration had different tiers of traits that put you earlier in the queue, and we only selected a certain number each year to allow in. And race and ethnicity and language and wealth level and religion were all these different factors that when you aligned the most to either American or British, you were put at the front of that queue because we wanted to self-select for people who were more naturally fit in with us anyway. And when all of that goes out the window and it's all about refugee status and who you know and who has the money and who can grease these wheels and get into this office. And then they started removing the cap, making the cap higher and higher, letting states have more allowance for H1 and H2B visas and that sort of shit for immigration. It began this ugly era of people coming to our countries in massive, massive groups and using chain laws to where once one person's in, then their immediate family and children and stuff automatically got to come in too. And so that began the era of mass migration. So now, going back 30 and 40 years in our countries, there are multiple racial, ethnic, and religious groups that have footholds in our countries where people can come from all over the world and they just naturally find where they want to go that's most like them. And there's no social, there's no religious, there's very little language, and almost no government pressure for them to conform to the host culture. So that's why all of what we're talking about matters with race and with language and religion now. That's why we have lost the battle of mass migration, because natural enforcement doesn't happen anymore, and government enforcement of selection and adaptation doesn't happen anymore because it's no longer enforced. So that's what I wanted to say about that. So
And
you guys want
corporate.
to say anything about that? Yeah, and corporate too with the visa stuff.
Or
Yeah.
corporate, state, corporate mashed together combination.
Yeah, the monopo state. That's the word I like to say. I came up with that to my knowledge.
Yep. Yep. People. What makes me laugh about this, as the old expression goes, the public was never asked. And yet,
we were never asked.
And they still wonder why, despite all the freaking polling data, it has remained consistent that the majority are against mass migration.
They don't care.
And it's,
Yep.
Well, of course not. But as I say to people, if you want to make somebody care, you have to make the said person a victim of said thing. Then they start to care.
No, I didn't mean the public doesn't care. I meant the politicians don't care. They're just going to do whatever they want.
Well, yes.
The monopo state, they want forever growth in GDP and to drive up property values. They're the ones that are behind mass migration.
Yeah, and on the GDP front, ironically enough, the GDP in the United Kingdom hasn't surpassed 2007's GDP, despite everything people claim. Work that out, ladies and gentlemen. And also, if those people cared about GDP so much, why do they consistently push very bad economic and fiscal policies?
They clearly don't. It's just a cover for a cover.
And it's too abstract for anyone to call them out on it. I mean, the general public.
I mean,
yeah.
I mean, you can call them out that they don't care about GDP. That's for sure. If they're constantly closing businesses.
I think that the scamdemic is the culmination of the fourth stage of the four stages of a communist takeover that Yuri Bezmenov used to talk about. Because once you take a civilization to the crisis stage, which we obviously were
that's
in,
stage 3.
they want to normalize. That's the final stage. And I think that with the Great Reset and the lockdowns and trying to get people to take vaccines and wear masks when they don't need to, and blatant gaslighting and people lying to our faces and expecting us just to believe it, I believe that they're rushing the steps because I think like, I know that people get mad at me, like, yes, we're not winning, we're losing. Okay, yeah, maybe we are losing, but I do think that whatever you want to call it, the cathedral, the NWO, the anti-white narrative, whatever you want to call it, I think that they are losing and they're desperate because the millions upon millions of people that know the election was rigged and stolen are talking about it. Millions upon millions of people all throughout Europe and in America are protesting and denying the lockdown insanity. People are getting in arguments and fights all over the place about masks and vaccines and shit. And I don't think that it's as bad as a lot of people in our clusters think it is. I think that we need to be positive and keep pushing the truth to everybody that we can, signing petitions, making phone calls, doing what we can on a local level to keep the anti-whites and the globalists out. And I think that we can take back our countries eventually. So I'd like to leave it at that. I have nothing else to say on the topic. I wanted to end on a positive note. Matt, thank you for being here today. Is there anything positive or anything you want to share with people before we start making our way out of here today?
Positive? No. Sorry.
Positive.
Just the fact that you invited me, I'm glad about that. Thank you.
Well, you're
I'm
welcome to
honored.
be here. You've got a beautiful voice. You're a friendly, wonderful person. You're a good Christian man. You're always welcome to come on here and talk to us on our community streams. 3 of 12, you have a beautiful voice, and you're always welcome here, too. Is there anything positive or any closing thoughts you'd like to share before we start getting out of here today?
Yeah. The fact that they're aware that they're in a weak position is they're going to act more defensively and continuously make mistakes that make them look stupid. I think there's light at the end of this tunnel somewhere.
I think so, too. We got to be the heroes that we need to see, because God knows we don't have any left anywhere else. We got to be the heroes for everybody else and ourselves included.
Oh, rip Rush Limbaugh.
All right. Kizza, anything you want to talk about or a positive note you want to end on before we head out today?
Well, on a positive note, Crime Bodge a couple of weeks back helped prosecute a filthy, dirty cop in my country. So that's a positive there, cleansing the swamp of the police service.
Woo!
That's good.
But
Yeah,
that's only one in an entire sea of them.
Well,
Yeah, but
guess
hey,
what?
it's better than nothing.
But guess what? One
Better than
less
nothing.
piranha in the swamp is still one less piranha.
I suppose.
And yes, it's maybe a small step, but people seem to forget. If you want to get rid of these people, you're going to have to stop being on the defensive, and you have to go on the offensive and start making victims of these people.
I can see that.
Because guess what? The founding fathers didn't found the United States by being a bunch of crybabies. They made victims of the British.
Oh, I know. Honestly, I think we need to start at the police. We need to start top down more than anything else.
Oh, for sure. But here's the thing: if you start causing enough comeuppance at the bottom, the people at the top take notice and they start to sweat. Because that's what you gotta do. Because quite often unless you have certain institutional financial power to us, you can't just come in like a typical wrecking ball at a construction site and whack the top of the whole building down.
Zen, I know that you have things that you like to talk about. You want to shill your channel and talk about stuff on the way out here?
Are you going to ban me if I talk about anime?
No, you can talk about
Okay,
anime.
well,
As long as you're not being a filthy femboy, you're okay.
As long as you don't talk about degenerate shit like hentai.
No. My Hero Academia is getting a new season at the end of March, and hopefully I'll be getting out a video about all of the openings. So if you want to hear some really good music, hopefully that'll be coming out in the next couple weeks.
It does have some bangers, man.
The openings are so good. I'm gonna be ranking all of the openings so far, as a kind of like building up hype for the new season because I love the openings.
My favorite is Odd Future.
My favorite's the original, the very first one, simply because of the killer beat it has, where it introduces all 20 of 1A. I love just the showing each one in sequence. It's brilliant. I love that sequence there. It makes it for me.
Well, in closing, I just checked all the chat channels and the donation tabs, and we don't have anything new to report from any of those. Thank you to the few over here on D Live with me, the 5 of us over here. Thank you guys for sharing white positive thoughts. A big KIP, a big Keep It Promethean, and a 14 to all you guys over there. And I'd like to remind you guys, I am going to start doing more than one stream a week. I have a lot of American viewers, and later times in the evening work better for American viewers. And we're looking at Monday night time slot around 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're looking at the 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. time slot on Monday nights. I think that would be a good night, and maybe in the future something on Thursday night too, if that can get in the works. But stay tuned, and I would like to have a sort of a playful look at news, talk back and forth like we did the first half of the stream today. That's why I structured the first half of the stream that way today. If you liked that structure and want to see more of it, I would like to make a stream around that, just like we did the Dragons of Disapproval. We're probably going to be calling it something like Dragons of Discord or some such catchy phrase like that. And we will probably be launching that either next Monday or the Monday thereafter. And people like 3 of 12 and Matt and Kizza and Zen, that'll be the people that come on. And we'll do our best to invite on higher profile people like Uzalu and other people like that. So
yeah,
if you like that, let me know in the comments or let me know in Discord or social media or something like that. And I highly encourage you guys to check out Jason Kuna's channel, the No White Guilt guy. I'm going to share some links here for you. Jason Kuna over at No White Guilt, he's the author of the Go Free book that I'm going to link right now. This book is fantastic. Thank you, Birdie. Good to see you, my friend. This book and the guy whose channel that I'll link, he's the one that uses the meme curative and meme pathogen lexicon, and he's a very inspirational speaker, like a Southern Baptist preacher in a way, mixed with a politician. He's a lot of fun to listen to and get inspiration from. And as usual, we've got many friends of the channel like Dangerfield, White Rose and Thorn, Patriotic Alternative, Patriotic Talk, Way of the World. Lots of people that are out there that you should go check out. Daughter of Albion, and of course, Laura Towler. Lots of people I support you should go check out. They have similar things to say as to what we talked about on the stream today. You can go learn a lot more from them, from their communities. So I love all of you. Thank you for making this possible. And remember, keep it Promethean, keep it pristine. And we'll see you next week, everybody.
No flagellating.